Say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist?
Very good.
We will begin the idea of interaction this evening of your time by illuminating a little bit further the idea you have been exploring, many of you, this time of your time, the idea of your own abundance. Recognize in this way, there are many ideas that exist within the society you have created yourselves to be about the idea of abundance, which in this way are part and parcel of the structure that you have created your society to be, and not intrinsically definitions of abundance. You, many of you, attach the idea of abundance to the specific symbol of what you call your monetary exchange. Now, it is not that your monetary exchange cannot represent the idea of abundance, but abundance is far more than that idea, though many of you will not allow yourselves to perceive abundance as being such. And in this way, many of you limit the idea that you are already very abundant in exactly the way you need to be, because you assume that you are not abundant because you do not have the monetary symbolic representation of this idea. Recognize that the basic, primal definition of abundance, in a sense, in your terms more closely, is simply being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. This does not always, and I'm sure your imagination is able to come up with many examples, it does not always mean that you must have money in order to fulfill that definition. For recognize there are many ways, many connections that can be formed, many doorways, many opportunities, many interactions, many relationships, many situations that can bring you the opportunity to do what you want when you want to, without money ever changing your hands from one to the other. In this way, as you restrict yourself into the assumption that it is only through money that you can allow yourself to achieve abundance, then you are closing all the doors through which many opportunities that will allow you to express your abundance may manifest. Recognize, many of you feel in this way, that because you do not have enough money, more money than you have, you cannot do some of the things you would like to do. Things that excite you in that way, things that you know are the vibration, are reflections of the vibration that represent the things you most desire in your life. But, as you say, woe is you! You do not have enough money. Now recognize, many of you make the assumption that individuals in your society that you call rich have more than enough money to do anything they want. They do not. An individual you see as rich has exactly just enough money. But they have just enough money to fulfill the idea of themselves that they have. You, if you will stop and think about it, usually always have just enough money to do what you want to do, one way or another. I always have just enough, but I never seem to have more than just enough. But simply recognize, an individual who is also rich always only has just enough to do what it is they have allowed themselves to realize they are capable of doing. Therefore, recognize the idea of the scope of the symbol of abundance is directly proportional to the degree to which you believe you are capable of expressing the being that you are, the idea that you are. Being willing to be fully the idea that you would like to think you are will expand you to the point where you will then attract automatically to yourself all of the individuals, opportunities, and situations and relationships that will provide for you a directly proportional means of expressing the degree of the idea you are willing to be. Nature works automatically in that way, functions quite automatically, will always supply you with exactly the degree of the tool that will go into allowing you to express the degree of the idea you are willing to be. Are you all following along this idea?
Yes.
Also, many of you feel in this way that being rich is to hoard the symbol of money. Recognize again that while it is not, in your terms, impossible to do this idea, all then that has been done is the compilation of the symbol money. And in this way, it is not the fundamental activity of abundance. It is simply a pile of money. In this way, recognize that, again, if you will look at it, many of the individuals upon your planet who are truly, let us say, functionally abundant, functionally rich, are not prone to be able to say, come to this room, I will show you all my money. As you say, their money is doing things for them. Recognize, therefore, that another idea, another aspect of abundance is not that it sits, is that it flows. When you create a flow, when you put out the idea of yourself in this way and are willing to be equal, to know, to trust without fear, beyond shadow of a doubt, that the idea of putting out an idea of abundance will allow there to be a vacuum and allow there to be the vacuum filled to create a flow in that way, then the idea will be understood that those that are expressing abundance are not stockpiling, they are allowing abundance to flow through them, to do things in that way. Therefore, recognize that is why many individuals upon your planet, coming from the assumption, from the belief that abundance is holding on to the riches in this way, when they come from those beliefs and are about to experience the idea of abundance, many times they will, because they are not willing to do it willingly, they will, in a sense, attract a situation that will force them to release a part of what they now know to be their so-called abundance, to allow a greater abundance to come in because of the flow that will be created by the release. Many of you will create this release through your reluctance by having something stolen from you. That is why many individuals who are very, very accelerated in the exploration of abundance will automatically find that many times they will have objects stolen from them, because they will attract an individual, in that sense, who is powerless in their own right and willing to be attracted by those, in that sense, who are exploring the abundance but not willing to release. They will attract that individual to uncork the plug for them, in that sense, and allow there to be now the recognition, if you are willing to look at the situation in a positive light and not a self-pitying negative light, you will then recognize that that has been a release that now allows the waters of abundance to flow through you. For a gap created will be a gap filled. There can be no vacuums in creation in that way. You follow me? There are many manifestations of different ideas of how individuals may allow their own abundance to become paramount and recognizable in their lives. But also, as we have said, recognize abundance is not just your monetary symbol. Anything, any situation, any opportunity that allows you to simply function as the being you know yourself to be is an expression of your abundance. And many times you can create a situation whereas you previously thought you required money for the manifestation of that situation, but now that you are functioning within trust in your abundance, you can recognize that many times you will attract situations that will automatically grant you the same circumstances that will allow you to function in the way you wish to function, regardless of the definition. For example, many of you will say, well, I am looking for a place to live, therefore I need money for a place to live. But recognize, as long as you focus on the idea that you may only get a place to live if you have the money, then you may not allow the ecstatic explosion of coincidence to occur where a friend comes up to you and says, I happen to know someone who is going out of town for 5 years and wants somebody to watch their house. Will you do that free of charge in that way and have a place to live? These things can happen and do happen all the time. When you allow them to happen, you will find yourself walking exactly into the right place, the right time, interacting with exactly who you need to be interacting with, because they are providing a service to you, and you are providing a service to them, and you are trusting that the universe, when you let it, works that way and works that simply all the time. You follow me? Sure! Yes!
There was a news broadcast this afternoon that talked about a massive prize the scientists have just discovered.
That's,
Could you talk about that?
for now, briefly, it is simply an exemplification that you recognize that there are doorways at the center of all physicalized, realized manifestations. You refer to them usually as black holes. You will recognize, therefore, that this is true not only on a cellular, atomic level. In the center of every idea that you call an atom is a black hole in that way. In the center of every cell in this way is a black hole. In the center of every idea of a stellar system is a black hole in that way, in the center of the star. In the center of many stellar systems are black holes around which the entire group of systems revolve. There are black holes around which entire gatherings of galaxies revolve, and there is, in a sense, a doorway in a black hole around which the entire universe revolves, in that sense. You follow me?
Yes.
This is the procession that allows you to understand that it is out of the center of all that is that all proceeds. In that way, when it creates the spherical shell of the 360-degree, infinite, unlimited universe. You are seeing the idea of the bending and the reflection of your universe on the other side, because you are recognizing in this way that you are infinite in either direction around this central doorway, which in a sense is a doorway into many different universes, many different dimensions of experience, and it is one of the direct doorways through which all that is expresses itself in this particular universe. You follow me?
Yes. Does that mean that the mass consciousness is coming to a kind of doorway and we've symbolically projected it out into our universe?
Yes. You are about to have passage into another density of experience, and so all the symbols in your astronomical universe and many other aspects of your universe will begin to reflect the idea of finding the central doorway around which all revolves. For it is always, whether you perceive it to be or not, in that express locale, it is always, in a sense, through the one central doorway from which all was created, that all transitions pass through. You follow me?
Yes. Does that mean that there will have to be a whole new theory now manifested?
Of course.
Include that? So it's a whole new idea.
Yes. And it is the beginnings, once again, of the recognition. One more step that will allow what you call your scientists to begin to realize that they will have the unification of their understandings of what they are calling forces, which do not really exist. But they will have that understanding when they begin to allow consciousness into their equations.
You're already doing that.
This much.
The equations, mathematical systems, doorways, that is all based on the mathematical theories in which the scientists step by step grope towards the answers, right?
Yes. They are coming to much the same conclusions as many other individuals who have gone within. They are simply doing it in their own unique way. Sure.
Bashar? Last night you asked me if I received a gift when I was on the spaceship, and I said no. And then afterwards I had an idea of what that gift might be, so I meditated I think this morning, last night or this morning. I'm going back there,
Right.
and I'm looking into this male's eyes.
Okay.
And, it was this morning, and I received a gift that I had imagined it was last night, which was a hatched egg or a baby chick.
All right.
And I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you for your own recognition of the birth of many new ideas within yourself. Sharing.
Bashar, I'm going to be facing a legal situation in court this Friday. Do you have any advice for me?
Have a good time. For again, recognize every situation is fundamentally neutral. You give it the meaning, positive or negative. And according to what meaning you give it, that will be the effect that you get. You follow me?
I do.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Bashar?
Sure.
Could you tell me something about the constellation, the Big Dipper, and perhaps energies that are there or in those areas?
Our perception at this time, since in a sense this is a new focus for us, is that there are 7 different levels of understanding, 7 different levels of consciousness connected to that area, 7 different levels of communication that can begin to be perceived upon your planet by many individuals. Some of it will take the idea symbolically of crystalline form. Some of it will take the idea symbolically of vegetable life, plant kingdom in that way, as you call it. Do not take me literally. This is symbolic. But it is expressing itself into your realm in these ways. It is no accident that some of the ideas that you connected to, what you call early navigation, were connected to this way, for some of the consciousness and communication coming from that area has to do with navigation in a different form through the energy waves that you call space-time, energy waves, the electromagnetic vortex, flux medium in that way. Some of this information can be perceived from consciousness in that direction at this time. There are a few ideas of what you may call guides from that area at this time. There is also a type of self-recognition, of self-empowerment, a way of meditation that involves recognizing one's self-empowerment, particularly in nature connections, coming from that emanation at this time. And it is unto itself a type of spectrum in the representation of the 7 different levels coming from it, all the way from what you call physicalized vibrations to spiritualized vibrations. It is its own band, its own range of frequencies, but it is connected to the overall association, to what you may refer to as the overall confederation, though we prefer the term association. This is our perception at this time. We would therefore request that if you wish to proceed further, the next step is up to you.
Thank you.
Do you wish to share anything further at this time about what you feel your connections to be?
I've always felt a connection. Many, many years. Always looked for that constellation in the sky, and
some of it in our perception has to do with the idea of having relied upon it, as we said, for navigation in past lives.
And there are many aspects that you have just spoken of that enter into my personal learning, my search. There are many levels there that speak to me personally, very much.
Then we will now at this time express our gratitude and appreciation in allowing yourself to be a valve for that particular energy at this time, so that it can be included in the overall makeup of all the consciousness that is blending within your Earth society now for the assistance and the aid of the transformation from 3rd to 4th density. We will thank you. Sure!
Bashar?
Guys.
The throat chakra, that is communication, is associated with the color blue. And I was wondering if the idea of communication has anything to do with the fact that the sky is blue.
You can make an association in that way. You can recognize that the sky can be a reflective, symbolic idea of the electromagnetic field round your planet in this way that expresses the mentality through which you are all connected telepathically. You can allow yourself to exemplify that you are creating the vibration of the spirituality in your skies by recognizing it represents the idea of heavens to you in that way, and having chosen to represent it in a blue tinge or a hue will allow you to know that the access to each and every being upon your planet is inherent within the electromagnetic atmosphere that you breathe, that permeates the entire atmosphere of your planet, and can be representative symbolically of the idea of allowing there to be a heaven upon your Earth. It can be reflected in that way from our point of view. It is only an arbitrary symbol in that sense. There is no basic fundamental, what you would call mechanical, reason in that way for why there should be that association, but you can draw an association from it and rely upon it within your imagination in that way. It is a vibration which will reflect the idea of the spectrographic breakdown of your moisture content, your dust content, and in this way will reflect the idea of the striving in your terms as you have been striving toward the crystal clarity of your own consciousness. It will be a reflection of consciousness in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Why has it been so stormy and cloudy in the last few days? It's been very, very windy. Are there a lot more ships than usual?
It is not so much the product of the ships. In this way, recognize that what you call your weather is a direct result of your mass conscious emotionality. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
All transformations and transitions that will allow there to be a release of energy in a mass conscious way will exude into your atmosphere and cause manifestations that you call weather.
What do you mean by mass conscious?
The combined consciousness of your entire civilization creates your weather through its emotional bias.
Sure.
Yes.
Could you comment then on all the emotions and consciousness that led to the earthquake in Mexico?
Again, we have discussed this idea to some degree that localized phenomena in terms of earthquake in that area is specifically linked to a mass conscious, a mini mass conscious, miniature group of mass consciousnesses reflecting upon themselves the belief that they have taken themselves far away from their own nature and have jolted themselves back to a primal level of existence because they felt they had removed themselves too far in their technology and polluted themselves to such a degree that the only way they could reverse the process would be to wipe out the entire idea. You follow me?
Sure.
Sure!
Sure.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago or so, you talked about the shift of the electromagnetic field of the Earth.
Right.
Is that the same electromagnetic field that affects the compass because of the magnetic compass to work?
Right.
Okay, then would the variation that is shifting annually, would that be shifting at a more accelerated rate at this time?
That to some degree, although you may find it may allow itself to be slight shifts and proceed toward a build-up of a major shift all at once.
So then the charts that are used for navigation would become obsolete?
Yes.
Okay.
Electromagnetically.
Right. They don't use that much, of course, anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon.
I'd just like to share that, speaking of electromagnetic shifts, that one can really tune into what the mass consciousness is feeling at any time. The day of the meltdown in Russia, I didn't listen to the news, and in the morning I was driving along, and I thought, well, I'll tune into the mass consciousness today and see what's going on. And I really felt a very strong sense of sadness and of that negative almost energy. And I thought, that's interesting. There's a lot going on today, and I don't know what it is. And then I found out later on that that's what it was.
Thank you for your sharing and your willingness to express that you are in touch with the entirety of the mass consciousness. Allow me to remind each and every one of you that you all have that capability, for you are all always in touch with the totality of all that is, particularly of your own society. Now, each and every one of you will translate it through in different ways, different symbolic interpretations, but you all have the ability to understand the emotional shiftings that are going on and taking place and the interactions that can result from all of those interactions that take place on that level, that can manifest into your physical reality. You are all sensitive to this idea, and you are all becoming more sensitive to that idea. As you become more sensitive in this way, this is why, as we have said, you will find for now many individuals are beginning to feel more of this sensitivity physically in what you call your sinus area and in what you call your heart area and your solar plexus. For these are here the sensitivity to the vibrations in the electromagnetic field, and here the sensitivity to the actual electromagnetic manifestation itself, because of the collection of what you call magnetite in your sinuses that aid to the idea of navigation in many animals and in you. Sharing.
Bashar?
Yes!
You said that you and your own planet recognize people through vibration.
Yes.
You recognize people on this planet by vibration.
Yes.
Can we develop that capability?
You already have that capability.
Develop to the point where we can...
Yes. You simply do not pay attention to it. Do you not already have within what you call your linguistics the idea of good or bad vibes? Then recognize again, it is part and parcel of your subconscious awareness of your ability to sniff out the vibration of an individual and understand their intentions.
Then all we have to do is be aware of it.
Yes. You can fine-tune it.
It's your gut feeling.
In a sense, yes. And again, that is why you call it a gut feeling. Yes. Solar plexus in that way. The chakra of intention. Sure! Yes!
Yesterday on the news, although I didn't see it, it was told me secondhand, one of the major terrorist leaders of the world came on at a student time very calmly and said that, they were going to target Americans, specifically in the United States and in Europe. And from your perspective, what would be the way what would be a suggested way to approach an individual like this?
Now, you can understand that our perspective will always be one of unconditional love. And as we have said, you can suggest, as we dictated in this way, some time ago, the idea that you can express to them that you know they have killed, that you have killed, that you have both discovered together how easy it is for you to kill. Ask that individual and ask yourselves if you have the strength to love each other. And in this way, allow yourselves to recognize that it is only a belief in your innate powerlessness that says you must force your opinion on someone else. An individual who believes in what they believe in, believes in the idea, the philosophy, then recognizes that if they have true belief in their philosophy, they do not need to force that philosophy on anyone. For their innate recognition is that the philosophy stands for itself, speaks for itself. And if you find any individual or any country or any group of individuals finding that they must force their philosophy on someone else, they obviously do not believe in that philosophy themselves. For anyone who believes in something in that way will simply know that it will always stand on its own merit. This is not naive. You follow me?
Yes.
You can discuss with this individual the idea of taking back their power, you taking back your power, and recognizing that you already are as powerful as you need to be to have anything you desire without having to hurt anyone else to get it. Otherwise, you are saying you are in fact dependent upon everyone else for your reality. You follow me?
Yes, but that's a conscious recognition that they're willing to accept, that they in fact do recognize the idea that individuals there need to conform to a specific...
If you wish to be more, quote-unquote, pragmatic about it, you can allow them the analogy that they are the sole and single strongest support for what they are fighting against. For when they feel they are being oppressed, and they retaliate in a violent manner against a so-called oppressor, they only give the so-called oppressor that much more reason to become that much more oppressive. You follow me?
Sure.
They are attempting to fight, in their viewpoint, a raging forest fire of oppression out of control, but they are fighting it by throwing sticks at it, feeding it. You follow me?
Sure.
In this way, they can then simply recognize that they, paradoxically, are the single most strong foundational support for any oppressive regime. For it gives the oppressive regime an excuse to tighten its grip. You follow me?
Totally.
Thank you! Sure!
Bashar?
Guys.
I've had a very difficult relationship with my father, and he represents the idea of an alcoholic.
All right.
And not having been very loving and supportive, understandably. Therefore, I have been working on building my own strength and my own love through meditation, but I was wondering if you can help me to understand the purpose of this relationship.
Can be as simple as you have just stated, to allow you to build your own strength and unconditional love, at least on your end. Once you have allowed that individual to reflect to you your opportunity to be self-empowered and know that you are complete in this way, you can then reflect back to them their own self-empowerment, which can allow them to take responsibility for their life back into their control and not put responsibility on a symbolic tool, the drug. You follow me?
Yeah.
You are serving each other. Allow what that individual is doing to be of service to you, and then, once you allow yourself to know that you have gotten the idea that you are self-empowered in that way and can express unconditional love for all the different ways that any individual may choose to live their life, being that all ways are equal, then you can take upon yourself the opportunity to continue your own recognition of your self-empowerment without needing them to be something against which you are pushing to develop that ability within yourself. You can then say, I am under my own steam. Thank you for your reflection. Thank you for your barrier. Thank you for your wall that I pushed against to arrive at where I am. Now, I am under my own power, and I will reflect the knowledge back to you that you also are under your own power, that I have unlimited, unconditional faith and love in you, that whatever you choose is exactly what you need to choose to learn what you have decided to learn. Therefore, by offering you the opportunity to be able to learn what you are learning in another way, you give them the opportunity to choose another way, rather than what you perceive to be a destructive, negative way. You follow me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Will that have served you?
Yes, I had one more question.
All right.
While I'm working on this empowerment to the fullest potential.
Now, may I remind you of something?
Yeah.
It is at its fullest potential right now, and always will be. You are only allowing yourself to remember this. That is what you mean by working at it. But you do not have to struggle.
Okay.
It is simply remembering. Relax. You know that when you are trying to remember something, it is when you relax that you remember it.
Right.
So relax.
That's correct.
And you will be at your full potential.
Can I still ask my question?
Of course.
As I relax, my dilemma has been...
Your what?
My situation.
Yes. Your fundamentally neutral situation.
Let's say, has been deciding how to approach the relationship and how to deal with him.
Unconditional love.
Okay.
If you are unconditionally loving, then you are granting support, understanding to the relationship. And you will allow it to bolster itself upon that support and reach the understanding you require. You follow me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Allow yourself to know that it is serving you. It is not an interruption in your path. It is how you chose to interact. Let it serve you. Then you can allow him to let himself let it serve him as well. Through your example of allowing the situation to serve you, you can show him how it can serve him. And he can choose another way to learn whatever it is he is learning. You follow me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure!
So, on her situation, just to expand on it a little bit, then the individual that's abusing, I'll call it abuse, alcohol or drugs or whatever, they're at a point that they need to go through that to learn a certain lesson.
They obviously believe they need to go through that. It is not that they really need to go through that. It is that they believe they need to go through that. There is no need for anyone to go through anything unless they believe they need to. Does that clarify the idea?
Yes.
Thank you! Sure! Yes.
You've talked from the beginning until now on one subject: abundance, magnetic fields, doorways, galaxies, problems. One thing is just acceptance.
Allowance.
Well, whatever word. Acceptance.
Nice.
Okay, and you talk about accepting, and that we accept our powers and our life and our universe and our lessons and our problems,
nice.
situations.
Nice.
All right, this is fine, but what do you do, what would you suggest as a possibility when you don't look at it as a situation, but you look at it as a problem? How do you go inside of yourself to learn that this is just an accepted lesson, or this is just an accepted...
In whatever way your imagination tells you to.
How do you see this? What is a way of seeing it? What is a suggestion? How to handle?
You want me to give you a specific exercise?
Something that would help me, go down inside of myself and see that this is
all right. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
For now, before I share something with you, how do you imagine you could do that? Pretend.
Well, I've tried it in different spheres, different times,
all right.
different levels.
Yes.
And there are problem situations that you come against, that you know that you haven't been given a larger problem than you can handle.
All right.
Okay. But you
But
you can't seem to get past the point of letting go.
Perhaps because you are judging what you are getting, to not be a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Stepping back from?
Allowing yourself to know that whatever it is that is happening is a part of the process. That you feel to be a problematic situation, a block, something that lets you feel you are not going where you need to go to solve your problem. But understand, what you are being given is always the exact thing you need to be given. Many times you will judge that what you are being given is not what you need to be given, and then it will take the form of a seeming block. Simply because what you are being given is a direction you did not expect, and therefore you do not think the direction is valid. According to how your ego thinks, you should discover the answer to your question. It is a matter of trust. It is all trust, and it all comes down to that one concept, trust. Trust is all there is. That is the only thing you need to allow yourself in this way to recognize and realize any answer to any question. Trust. Are you following along?
Yes.
Sir?
Sir.
All right. Ma'am. In this way, you may simply recognize that many individuals, when they come upon a so-called block, are simply not allowing themselves to recognize it is actually a brightly lit sign saying, now is the time to go left, to go right. But many individuals, allowing their ego to be in the driver's seat, say, no, 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 I must go straight ahead. Exactly at that moment. Because your higher self knows that the way to go is not straight ahead, but to the left or to the right, and that is why the sign is there. At that moment that you become stubborn, the sign changes into a brick wall. Now you can stand there as long as you like and beat your head into it, if you enjoy that sort of thing. Or you can allow yourself to say, all right, this is an unexpected direction. What you will allow yourself to do by moving in that unexpected direction is to recognize that at that moment, going left or going right is exactly the way to go straight ahead. Expectation is what says it's got to be like this or nothing. Allowance is what says it can be this way. It can be. And that is what paradoxically gives you the sensation that all of this is actually this. When you assume that the way you want to go through your ego gratification says it must be this or nothing, that is when this becomes this. Because you are not going with the flow of what may be an unexpected direction, but it is the direction nonetheless that you need to go in. It is trusting that whatever, and I mean whatever, your imagination comes up with at that moment is exactly what you need to, here's the word, act upon, to allow yourself to continue that journey and understand the idea of yourself. Is any of this making sense?
Yes. It's what you're saying then is in this trust, we trust in ourselves.
You trust that the universe has provided you with all the ingredients necessary to be completely, at any given moment, any idea you desire to be. And you trust that being a part of the universe, you are able to function as all of the activation principles in the universe in that way, utilizing them, allowing them to flow through you so that you flow through life. Life is the only process you need to live more life. When you allow yourself to know that nothing that occurs in your life is an interruption in your path, but allow yourself to trust that no matter what is occurring, it is a part of the path you chose to be, then you will allow yourself to gain and gather the actual experience of seeing how the situation is a part of the path you chose to be. You may look at it, as we have said many times, like this. A path is not what you are on. A path is what you are. You can't be off of yourself. Everything that occurs in your life is a part of your path by definition. You cannot have anything in your life that is not a part of your path. By definition. There are no extraneous events in creation. You follow me? Does this act as some sort of assistance to you?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the willingness to express your unique methodology and the path that you are. For in your sharing, many individuals will allow themselves to glean for themselves their own approach to a similar idea. For recognize, if you are present in the asking of a question or the sharing of a statement, there is a reason why you are present. Nothing is extraneous. If you are there to hear it, you can use it. You can ask yourself the same question that is being asked by someone else, apply it to your own path, or you can share and state to yourself the same statement being made by someone else and apply it to your own path, and you will have your own unique manifestation of how that idea applies to you. In that way, nothing that anyone asks and nothing that anyone shares will ever be boring. For everything that you are present to perceive applies to you, or you wouldn't perceive it. Thank you. Sharing.
Bashar,
Yes.
back to the electromagnetic energy shift
All right.
that you spoke of. I have suffered from headaches periodically through all of my adult life, and just when I think I understand what causes them, I find out that that's not the case the second time.
All right.
And you mentioned that the stresses that build up in the electromagnetic atmosphere are perceived by some of us as headaches. Is that one of the causes of my headaches? And that's.
Have you also been sensitive to the idea of visual or auditory manifestations which most individuals are not privy to?
I have expected that always, but no, I can't say that I enjoy that I perceive that.
What do you imagine would happen should you allow yourself to do so?
I think I would grow in my sensory.
Why?
Because I would love to. Because.
Why would you grow from perceiving something which in your terminology, your colloquial terminology, is outside the normal realm of experience of life as you know it? Why would you imagine that you would grow from something like that? Do share.
Because I would see beyond the camouflage or the
All right. May I ask you another question?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. If you were able to, as you say, see beyond the camouflage, would you be interested in staying in the camouflage?
Well, for a time, I guess. I guess I would.
All right. How are you being of service within the camouflage?
Well, I'm trying to be as loving as I can, and I'm trying to be...
Trying?
I am being as loving as I can.
All right. In what ways?
Practicing unconditional love.
Practicing? When are you going to do it?
Loving unconditionally.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
In what ways will you apply physically, or have you applied physically, this unconditional loving service? What is it you do?
Respect myself as much as I can. I keep my...
For a living?
Oh, for a living. I'm an art director.
All right. Do you enjoy it?
I love it.
All right.
I love my work.
Oh, very good. Very good. Now, may I ask you another question?
By all means.
Oh, thank you very much. Have you found that your so-called headaches have assisted in any way with your work?
I think sometimes I release stresses around me through them. I think that happens.
Do you feel that that is the only way you can relieve stress around you? And why do you have stress around you if you love your work?
That's a good question. Well, sometimes sometimes when putting new things into the show that I work on,
Yes.
there are stresses that
Why?
reach very high levels.
Why do they need to reach you?
Because I have to release them.
You do?
Yes.
Why?
Because
Why is that your job?
I'm concerned with the look of the show, and that's what everyone is stressful about at that moment.
Everyone else being stressful does not mean you have to be.
True.
You do not have to pass those energies through you in a negative way. Can you not let them wash over and around you and beyond? Being the bubble of serenity in it all. Pulling all things together by allowing yourself to be an energy exchange system through which things can pass, by allowing yourself to be transparent, allowing all things to blend, but allow them to pass through you unobstructed. You do not need to, in a sense, manipulate them on the way through. You can allow them to flow through you unimpeded, and you will glean what you need to glean from them without trying to glean from them what you need to glean. These energies that come to you, you do not have to wrestle with them. Allow them to flow. Allow yourself to channel them in, channel them through and out in ways that reflect the harmonious, synchronous vibration that is a reflection of the unconditional love you experience in doing your work. You do not need to express or experience that energy in a stressful way. You do not need to process it in that way. Everyone else's stress is their choice. It does not have to be yours.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you for expressing your creativity. Understand that creation is an act of joy, of love, of ease. It is a natural expression. It is like breathing. So take it in, let it out, and recognize that like breathing, the only thing it does while it is within you is refresh you, not cause you stress. You follow me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Sharing.
Sure.
Yes.
There's a family in Wales, the Sunderland family, and they have a few children. And there's a little daughter that was about 10 back. I think it happened about 1977, and she had a face-to-face encounter with some space brothers and sisters who she described as being very tall and angular looking, and so did a few of her family. It seemed almost accidental. She just sort of
there are no accidents.
yes, but apparently it was accidental of her discovering and taking soil samples. And later they began coming to her in her dream state. And,
are you going to ask me for a label?
Yes.
Next question.
I'd never heard of that type before, and I wanted to know. I'm in communication with the author who wrote a book on it, and I was looking into putting it together for a film. And the author had told me they were back in communication with her. The girl is now about 18 years old, in a dream state, and I haven't been able to place. I'd like to, say, well, this sounds like played and this sounds like particular.
You would like to be able to say that? Why?
I don't know. It just makes me
Yes.
comfortable.
Yes. Why?
Why? It makes me feel that I know them better.
Why?
There's certain characteristics of each.
Why does needing a label be the only thing that allows you to feel you know them? When are you going to trust your feelings?
Oh, you mean instead of the intellectual,
yes.
mental sort of.
Yes.
I see. That's what seems to trigger off the feeling. So I do feel a feeling and emotion towards them.
All right.
And then there seems to be some kind of balancing of the mental, wanting to have some kind of information on it.
Then go and ask the girl.
Well, she's a long ways away.
Oh.
Well, I thought I could write it. I mean, like,
I'm going to Wales. Give me her address.
All right.
Okay. This is only an exercise in allowing you to utilize what synchronicity is available to you, rather than running to me all the time for labels.
All right.
Thank you. Understand also, this is a part of that child's process. And it is something that if you have the desire to interact with her within, will be part of the joy of discovery for all concerned.
Mm-hmm.
We do not give away what is inside your presence.
Okay.
Now, understand also in this way, as we have begun to say now, to us, the idea of labeling is what causes separation and actually keeps you from interacting in the event itself. Go and find out what you need to find out in any manner that you can. Then the idea is that you will tell me.
Okay.
Then you will know that your ability to ascertain this information is equal to mine. And in many ways, when it concerns specifically the processes taking place in your own civilization, in your terms, better than mine. For your process is yours and not mine to illuminate. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. We can discuss this later.
Okay.
Could you tell us a bit about your society?
What specifically?
Oh, let's see. I presume you're not the only member of your society.
No.
So tell us about are there any social habits that people have their
habits?
They're different than ours, like we have the habit of shaking hands as a greeting.
Our society in that way is what you would call telepathic. empathic more precisely. For all telepathy is actually empathy.
Do you have any physical needs, like we need food for our sustenance?
Very little. Our sustenance at this time, though we have a fourth density bodily form that you would recognize as a physical form, sustains itself mostly upon energy at this time. Though there is a symbolic representational organic substance that you would recognize as a vegetable, very small, very much like what you would call your lima bean in this way, that symbolically represents all of the intake of sustenance in a physical form that we require. It is not taken often, and it is taken ever so much less than it used to be.
What do you do for recreation? What do you consider
Many
fun?
things. What I am doing right now is fun. This is one of my recreations.
Do you have competition between other
No.
members of your species? Not even for purely amusement?
It is not looked at as competition. For each individual is recognized for their own merits separately in that way as the individual, and is not compared to any other individual. All may partake in what you may call a game in that way to some degree, but it will not be us versus them. It will simply be individuals interacting. There is music, there is art, there is exploration, there is sharing of consciousness in many different forms and expressions.
What about schools?
Nope. Not in terms of what you say to be the structure that you have made them to be. Our children, in that way, will draw themselves exactly to where they need to be drawn and will learn, as you will say, on the job. For any adult they will encounter will be willing to recognize that it is no accident the child is there, and they will teach them. For all adults are the parents, and all children are the children of all. For all in our civilization are married to everyone.
There's no mutual exclusive marriage.
No. There are the biological parents, and they are recognized as such. But that is not something that prohibits the idea of the child from forming the relationships with all the other parents that they have in the society. We always know where they are anyway.
Somebody's got it.
Do you have the same senses that we have? Are you limited by the body that you're currently inhabiting?
To some degree. But in this way, we also have the ability to blend our consciousness to extend our senses beyond what you would call the physical form. This idea is what is allowing my ability to communicate with you to go on right now. My conscious recognition that I have this ability. You have this ability as well.
Is your growth process then similar to ours as far as relaxing?
We are always in a state of ecstasy.
Is the idea of growth recognized, or is that
in a sense,
another
yes.
idea?
But we have a very different reference of what you would call a time frame in that sense. To us, the idea is simply that we are living in the moment. And everything is an eternal now. We are enjoying what we are creating ourselves to be. And in this way, again, we can recognize the idea of additional expansion, but not through the process of comparison in the sense that we are, quote-unquote, better than we used to be, or worse than someone else. You follow me? Yeah. Our recognition of the idea of growth, in that sense, is to simply become all the different types of perfect now manifestations that we can imagine. You are not going to achieve perfection. You are perfect right now. Everything that you do is a perfect manifestation of the thing you are doing. It is no better or worse than anything else you have ever done. It is simply different, complete unto itself, and equal to anything else in its potential to allow you to grow and to choose.
Do you have what we call emotions? Do you still exhibit emotions?
Yes. Most of them are joy.
So what do you think like?
We are of average 5 feet of your height, whitish gray skin coloration, wide set eyes in this way. The eyes are mostly white, but you would perceive them to be black because the pupils engulf the majority of the circumference in that way of the eye. The males will have no hair. Females will usually have hair, usually be whitish, though there are exceptions in that way. You will find us to be relatively slender and akin to the idea of what you would call a cross between American Indian and Mongolian in aspect, though not exactly either.
What is your art like?
There are many different forms of the idea. The majority of it would not be what you call painting, but would be what you call sculpting, or the manifestation of energy forms. Also, tonality, music, as you would call it to some degree, will be the basic forms of what you would recognize as our art, although again, to us, everything that we do is art. Life is art.
Do you have what we term like theater or media?
To some degree, yes, although it is again mostly spontaneous. Not what you would call to be pre-planned to any extent. Individuals will come together and interact, perhaps for the enjoyment and the amusement of others who also, coincidentally, just happen to be gathered in that spot at that time.
Do you have books?
No. Not what you would recognize as a book.
They don't sell tickets either.
No. We do not have a monetary system. Hey!
Do you hear of the need for words, or is everything? Do you have to create the symbol of words to convey ideas, or?
We are mostly now the idea again of telepathy. We do have a remnant language that we have shared aspects of use from time to time. That is from the time when we more use the idea of vocabulary. But it is now in remnant form and is usually only used as an accent. You follow me?
Yes. Can I get real specific for a minute?
Yes.
As an example, let's say if you were to have a telephone and you wanted someone to call you and you were to give them that message using telepathy, would you?
Why would I need a telephone?
No, but
all right.
Okay. Would you need to telepathy give the idea of a person picking up a telephone, or would the words be what would be transmitted? Pick up, or whatever it is, in other words, any thought. Is the actual idea of seeing an individual doing something or seeing an object, or is the telepathy transmitted through the symbology of words?
No, not words, no. It is feeling and image.
Mostly emotion?
In a sense, emotion is what activates the idea. That is how we use them. You have the idea, to be prosaic, of a picture. You apply the feeling, the emotion to it, and that is what allows the picture to be transmitted and received. Emotion, energy, motion.
Are there objects on your planet, like we have streets that a number of people use, that the government, we are able to create those streets and maintain them and so forth?
No. We do not have need of streets.
I know, but I mean, are there objects that have common use?
Yes, buildings, but they are in this way created by associations of individuals who find joy in the manufacture of those structures.
Did your society
Does that answer your question?
Yes, is there a... Oh, yes, okay, it does answer.
Thank you, guys.
Did your society evolve to the fear levels that we are experimenting with?
No. That has not been our definition from the beginning.
Has our society done something new? Has it done?
So many things.
Yes.
Yes, of course, positive and negative in this way. The idea is that you are your own expression. You will always be doing things in your own way. Even if you should have something similar, it will not be exact. Yes.
Your fourth density
Yes.
is the identification. And it's assisting us in remembering. If I'm clear about this, there will be people who will remain in third density and will not make a move to fourth density. And you once made a comment, and please correct me if I'm mistaken about this, about once you get to fourth density, that there will be no remembrance or you will not be able to move back to third density.
Oh, you can if you want to.
But you would probably not want to, I would imagine.
There may be reasons for it. Reasons for it will include those that have, in your terms, ascended, accelerated, and wish to be of service to those in what you would term to be lower densities, and so will manifest themselves to be beacons of light, and in this way illuminate the path that all may choose.
Okay. You have not always been fourth density? Have you come through the same gradual
In a sense, yes.
process of through the first density to fourth density?
Yes.
And are there people then who are moving from fourth density to fifth density?
Yes, we are, as you are moving from third to fourth. We are moving from fourth to fifth.
So then does the density unto itself only withhold a certain number, a certain amount of energy, as if a certain amount of beings can move into fourth density, and then there will those who
Not
leave
really.
fourth density will create the vacuum for those to move into.
In a sense, that can take place within what you call a linear progression perspective, but not really. Every density is infinite unto itself.
All right. What I want to know though is can you and the people you share a time with is there a remembrance of where you came from?
We can create that remembrance in the present, yes.
You can. So you can see the life through your higher self. You can almost look through to everything that you have already experienced.
Of course. That is open to every being in the universe.
Yes, I understand. And so that is what you're helping us to remember.
Yes.
Is that ability to do that
Yes.
ourselves.
Right. Thank you for remembering.
I don't remember.
You remembered what you just said.
Yes, that's true.
We create our reality through our beliefs, our emotions, and our thoughts.
Yes.
What do you create your reality with?
Knowingness.
Just one facet, knowingness.
Trust.
Trust and knowingness. And love.
To some degree, we are creating our reality through our beliefs as well. But it is more our connection and our trust to our knowingness that allows us to experience always the positive synchronicity of our beliefs.
Is your anatomy the same? And do you live off your glands system?
More off the glands, yes. You will find the idea of our organs to be, in your terms, quite atrophied.
Mm-hmm. And is your anatomy the same? Your physical? Exterior?
Exterior? Yes. Similar. There are some differences. Again, you would notice the first idea, not only in the coloration of the skin, but also in the idea of the texture in that way. It may to you seem to be a little bit more silica-like, a little more pliable, more clay-like, I believe you would call it in a way.
Like soft and rubber?
Not exactly, but it will do.
Is it due to the density?
Yes, you yourselves are becoming more silica-like, and will increase in that way into your fourth density as you recognize that the idea of the crystalline form within you, as it increases, will allow you to become a more sensitive receiver of the energy that will allow you to partake more fully in awareness in fourth density manifestation. For fourth density simply means that you are conscious of more of your energy. You are more dense. But because more of your energy is there, you are more highly accelerated and paradoxically feel less dense in a solid way.
Will this change our outer appearance?
To some degree, in time, yes.
So it's slowly aging process?
It will eliminate it. There will be an idea of maturation, but it will not be from the same idea as aging. You will reach a certain point that represents the idea of your peak vibration, and you will stay there until you choose to leave the body. Consciously.
We have our density is becoming more in energy and less in mass.
Yes.
Once remembrance is whole and complete, is it possible to forget again?
The idea, again, paradoxically, is that you will begin, now that you are entering fourth density, to forget your past, because you will simply recognize that anything you need to know, you can know in the present. You are creating your past and your future from your present anyway. The present is not a result of the past until you make the connection in your beliefs. You can begin to seemingly forget past events as you restructure the idea of yourself in the present, and in this way, simply allow yourself to know that whatever you need to know, you will know it when you need to know it. You may all take a short break. If you desire, there can be, for those who experienced last night of your time, a repeat. For those who did not, for the first time of the sojourn onto the spacecraft. For in this way, it will get you used to the idea. You may take your break.